The anime begins when monsters like Godzilla, also known as kaiju, appear all over Japan. The nation goes into a state of emergency, calling all the citizens to run for their lives and head to the emergency evacuation center. One of these, kaijus, wreaks havoc in the city, causing people to wonder if it will be the end for them. On the other, the government issues a military unit immediately in order to take down these monstrous beasts, learning the target location and its length of around 60 meters, which is as tall as a skyscraper. Many armed military soldiers surround the kaiju from everywhere and fire missiles at it. It screams slightly in pain, as if it were just bitten by a mere mosquito. The elite force called the Defense Corps 3rd Division also joins in the party to combat this beast, and one of them, a female masked soldier, makes a flashy entrance, jumping from a helicopter while holding an assault rifle. Following her entry, many more GIs jumped into the fight scene and attacked the kaiju, diverting its attention towards them. In the meantime, their leader, the female soldier named Mina Ashiro, aims specialized weapon made specifically to eliminate kaiju at the kaiju's heart and fires it, causing the kaiju to blow up in pieces, which also makes it clear that humans cannot be underestimated. After the battle, the sweeper team heads to the fight location to dispose of the remains of the monster, which are scattered everywhere around there. While the machines are getting ready to clean up the area, a middle-aged man named Kafka Hibino, who has been watching everything from a distance while enjoying a hamburger, reveals to be one of the workers as well, who is supposed to clean the place. Kafka, who is part of a team of lazy losers known as the Sweepers, whose job it is to clean up the mess caused by kaiju, wonders when he will catch a break. They get to their work on enthusiastically, while on the other hand, the Defense Corps that has defeated the kaiju gets cheered on by the citizens for their successful defensive victory against the monster. Apparently, they have been working restlessly for the past couple of years to defeat these kaijus, and surprisingly they have never failed or been injured. Kafka, who has always wanted to become a member of the 3rd Division of the Defense Corps, passes by them doing his best to ignore the heroes and goes back to work. Kafka states that his team's battle begins after the 3rd Division's battle ends, and proudly claims that his team's work is far harder than the work that the 3rd Division does. Still, no one in the city has ever cared about them and has never shown any appreciation towards them at all. He unwillingly cuts down the skin of the monstrous corpse and begins slicing its meat. Suddenly, one of their members accidentally cuts a blood clot from the monster, causing the heart-burning blood to scatter all around him and burn his knees. So Kafka quickly comes down to treat his colleagues' fresh wounds. Having experienced such injuries, he blames the 3rd Division for always leading a mess when they should focus on trying to find a much cleaner way to deal with the monsters. But since it cannot be helped with, Kafka continues doing his work, revealing that the government has strictly told the sweepers to get done with the cleaning process within a week, making their work a hellish job that will lead them to work all day and night in order to dispose of the monster's remains. One of the supervisors of the sweepers approaches Kafka and assigns him to deal with another area nearby, informing him that the sweepers are short-staffed there. However, that area is covered with kaiju's intestines, making Kafka's friends feel pity for him, as dealing with kaiju's intestines is the worst experience someone can ever have. So when Kafka reaches the area, his body gives up smelling the disgusting poop oozing out of the monster's intestines. But Kafka's will to get this job over with remains undeterred, so he quickly cuts everything down and returns home late at night, being done with his hellish job. Laying down in his bed after working so hard, Kafka turns on the TV to watch something wholesome, but fails to get over the disgusting smell that is still attached to his skin. He redirects his focus on the news about the 3rd Division and watches as the media glorifies the leader of that team, Captain Mina, who became in charge of that division at the young age of 27. Not only that, but she apparently has also slayed over 100 kaiju monsters already, making her one of the best elite fighters in their country. Kafka, who is overwhelmed by Mina's success, reveals that they were once very good friends when they were still kids. Back then, Kafka always wanted to be the one to eliminate kaiju and encouraged Mina to join him on his mission. Mina, who was a literal crybaby back then, also became determined thanks to her friend's motivational words and achieved her goal of taking down those monsters who caused terror. But unlike her, Kafka's dream failed, and now he has to work as a mere sweeper whose job it is to clean up dead monsters' fresh poop. He wonders how things turned out to be this way, and how he became such a loser, as midlife crisis begins to hit him hard. He calls himself down using this special coping mechanism, telling himself repeatedly that cleaning up the mess caused by kaiju is also an important job in helping the people in his city. He consoles himself, stating that he has a nice room and can eat the foods that he likes, but he himself knows that isn't nearly enough to satisfy his hunger to do something good. In any case, he heads out to his workplace office of the sweepers the next day and meets with Ichikawa there, a part-time student who also wishes to work with them as a cleaner. Ichikawa apparently is only need for the experience of being around a kaiju because he wishes to join the defense corps one day. Hearing this, the higher-up of the sweepers named Takuto laughs and tells Ichikawa that Kafka was also a daydreamer like him who wanted to join the defense corps, but that dream is now buried 12 feet under the ground. Ichikawa wishes to know why Kafka gave up on his dreams, and in response, Kafka tells him simply that his hard work and abilities weren't enough to become a member of the defense corps, so he suggests that Ichikawa to stop wasting his time trying. However, Ichikawa gets offended by his advice and makes it clear that unlike Kafka, he will never give up on his dream. Anyway, the cleaning job continues and once again Kafka gets assigned to deal with the intestines, this time along with the new boy Ichikawa. Later, during lunch Ichikawa loses his appetite completely, so Kafka gives him a vitamin drink and a pair of nose buds to feel better. This interaction leads them to bond with each other and enjoy working together more than before. After being done with the day's work, Ichikawa again approaches Kafka and thanks him for guiding him on his first day, admitting that if he weren't there to help, he wouldn't have been able to make it through the first day. He also lets Kafka know that Kafka's age limit to join the defense corps hasn't crossed yet, which means that Kafka can try to join the defense corps once again. Out of nowhere, a kaiju appears behind Ichikawa, opening its mouth to devour him, but thankfully, Kafka uses his quick reflexes to save the boy and drags him away from the monster, giving him a chance to escape. In the meantime, Kafka distracts the monster and runs away in the opposite direction from where Ichikawa ran off. He luckily finds a narrow entrance leading to a construction building, so he enters there and jumps off from the edge knowing that the fall itself might end his life as well. At that moment, he remembers his time with Mina when she was crying over the fact that all of their friends, families, schools, and houses were destroyed by the kaiju. He cheered up Mina, promising her that they would together take revenge on the kaiju for what they did, and decided to join the defense corps to slay the kaiju together. Back to the present, Kafka lands safe on the ground and still expresses his regrets over not being able to join the defense corps. He picks up a steel pipe to use as a weapon against the kaiju. However, he is nowhere strong enough to land a hit on the monster and gets himself badly injured with his right leg broken. As he gives up on his life knowing he cannot escape, Ichikawa comes there to rescue him, telling him not to give up on his dreams. To save both the brave sweepers, a mysterious white tiger arrives there and takes care of the kaiju, eliminating it in the blink of an eye, which causes both Ichikawa and Kafka's jaws to drop completely. Mina appears before them revealing herself to be the owner of the ferocious white tiger, but she doesn't even look at Kafka as if she is embarrassed by his presence and leaves immediately. After the battle, both Kafka and Ichikawa get admitted to a hospital to get their injuries treated. Kafka, who is in disbelief seeing how his childhood friend ignored his existence, he doesn't judge her instead, he acknowledges her strength being so great that she was able to kill such a gigantic monster in an instant. Ichikawa grabs Kafka's attention and calls him a really amazing person for risking his own life to save others, and that is why he thinks that a person like Kafka should definitely join the defense corps. Kafka also realizes that he cannot just give up on his dreams just because he is slightly worse than the other candidates, and so he decides to give it another go at the entrance test again, thanking Ichikawa for motivating him to do so. At that moment, a small bird-sized kaiju appears in front of Kafka, and before he knows it, it reaches inside his body, turning him into a demonic Godzilla-shaped creature, or as some would call it, a cheap rip-off of Overlord. Ichikawa, who watches the entire scene take place, becomes totally baffled by his senior's terrifying transformation, but he quickly realizes that on the inside he is the same guy as before. This sudden turn of events makes Kafka realize that if he doesn't run away for his life, the defense corps will soon find him and slay him. In the past, we see Kafka telling Mina how to immobilize kaiju. She took notes as he told her that she needed to attack the legs and tie it up. Mina was scared by the thought of fighting a monster, so Kafka assured her that when the time comes, he will be by her side. Back to the present, Mina thinks about how that was a lie, just and Mina is informed that a kaiju was spotted at the Yokohama hospital, and she declares that she will handle it. She will dispatch along with her officers, and they will eliminate the kaiju. The story continues. Another look back shows that Mina made fun of Kafka for saying that he would be right by her side when she got scared. Kafka was completely embarrassed, so he told her not to tell anyone he said that. Mina was actually really grateful, so she thanked him and agreed that there's nothing to be afraid of as long as they are together. Back to the present, Mina has assembled her division and they prepare to head to the hospital to eliminate the kaiju that appeared there. An alarm sounds around the entire city telling people to take shelter from the kaiju. At the hospital, the guys panic as the old man is terrified of Kafka. Ichikawa thinks they can clear up the misunderstanding if Kafka just smiles, but Kafka's smile is horrifying. It clearly doesn't work as the old man passes out. Kafka rushes to help him, but he shocks himself with his own strength as he destroys the area with the slightest touch. Kafka can't believe that he did all that and others notice that a kaiju is there. Ichikawa assured that the defense force is on their way, so they agree to leave. Kafka goes to escape out the window, but once again shocks himself when this light is touched destroys an entire wall. Kafka wonders what's going on with this body, but there's no time to think as people are beginning to panic. The two guys jump out the window, but Kafka launches himself much farther than he expected. Ichikawa tries to make sense of what's going on, but he begins to wonder if this kaiju is really Kafka. He asks Kafka if he's really him, but Kafka isn't even sure anymore as his body's going out of control. Ichikawa wonders if this transformation is a special mode of his, but Kafka has no clue. Just then the parasite extends out of his mouth to eat a bird alive. Luckily Kafka reverts back, but he reveals that there is trouble. Ichikawa wonders what kind of terrifying thing awaits them next, but Kafka just says that he needs to pee. Ichikawa just tells him to hold it, but he can't, and Kafka shames himself for being an adult that can't hold it in. Ichikawa points out that Kafka doesn't even seem to have the right parts to pee, and he wonders where it will even come out of. Kafka then shocks them both when he pees out of his nipples. Kafka is even more ashamed now, but Ichikawa reminds him that they have more important things to worry about. Kafka wonders if he can still join the defense force the way he is now, but Ichikawa points out that he is what the defense force eliminates. They probably won't let him join, and instead they will just destroy him. Kafka gets serious as this fact starts to sink in. The timing couldn't be worse either, as he just decided to try and catch up with Mina. They prepare to enter a restricted area where no one will be around, but Kafka senses something approaching. It's not the defense force though, since it's coming from underground. An explosion occurs elsewhere in the city, and the defense force receives a report that another kaiju has appeared. Kafka is able to tell that it's the same type that attacked them before. Ichikawa points out that they already sounded the alarms because of Kafka, so he hopes that there won't be any casualties. This kaiju will keep the defense force busy, so it's the perfect time for them to hide. Elsewhere, a girl sobs as her mother's trapped and they are found by the kaiju. The mother begs her daughter to run away, but it's too late as the kaiju is about to consume her. However, just then Kafka arrives to hit the kaiju with an incredibly powerful punch. Kafka shocks himself once again with how powerful he is, and he goes to check on the girl. Of course she is scared of him, so Kafka reminds himself to smile, but this just makes it worse. He rescues the unconscious mother, so Ichikawa explains that she will be fine. The kaiju returns, so Kafka tells him to get out of there. Ichikawa wonders what he's planning to do, so Kafka reveals that he's going to try punching the kaiju as hard as he can. Kafka begins a countdown as his body bursts with power and he unleashes the powerful punch. This strike absolutely destroys the monster, sending its parts flying everywhere, and its blood rains down from the sky. Kafka still can't believe how insanely strong he is, and Ichikawa is sure that Kafka can never use that punch on a human. Kafka tells them that they can safely head to the hospital now, but he's more terrifying than ever. He tells the girl not to worry because the defense force will be there soon, so he is leaving. The girl stops him though and thanks him. This reminds Kafka of when Mina thanked him, and he imagines a future where he is fighting by Mina's side. Ichikawa wants him run before they are found, but Kafka declares that he isn't giving up after all. Kafka reveals his human face again and states that he must go and stand by Mina's side. The defense force arrives soon after to wonder what in the world just happened to the obliterated kaiju. Mina asked the little girl to tell her everything, but she was terrified just thinking about it. Mina tells her not to worry and promises that she will destroy all the kaiju for her. The girl gets worried for a different reason though, and Mina is shocked when the little girl wants her to promise that she would hurt the good kaiju. She clarifies by saying it's the one that saved her mom, but Mina can't even comprehend what the little girl just said. 3 months later, a news report reveals that the defense force has given a code name to the unknown kaiju. They have a drawing of it from witness testimony, and they're calling it Kaiju number 8. All Kafka's cleaning company's co-workers just assume that the kaiju probably already dead. Ichikawa arrives at work and thinks about how Kafka became the first kaiju in history to escape the defense force. However, this means that every defense force officer in the country is looking for him now. Just then, their boss explains that Kafka and Ichikawa received something in the mail. The other guys discuss how Kafka would take an exam every year and they always had to cheer him up after he got the results. Ichikawa checks his letter and the others congratulate him as he passed the first round of Defense Force selection exams. On his way to give Kafka his letter, Ichikawa can't help himself, so he checks Kafka's results. He sees good news, so he rushes off excitedly. The other guys can see that this means Kafka finally passed. This will be Kafka's last chance to enter the Defense Force, so the guys are happy for him. He is finally getting his opportunity after working so hard for so long. Ichikawa excitedly tells Kafka that he passed the first round of exams, but he becomes furious when Kafka in his kaiju's form. Kafka changes back as he didn't even notice, but he doesn't fully transform. Ichikawa points out that he was just on the news, so he needs to be more careful. We then learn that they returned to the hospital shortly after the whole incident and just lied about everything. Ichikawa thought that Kafka would be more happy about the letter, but Kafka reveals that the second round is where he always fails. Ichikawa wonders if Kafka's really planning to take their next exams with this crazy body of his. Kafka assures and that no one will notice, but he still can't get his transformation right. Ichikawa points out that the first round is just a written test and some paperwork, but there will be officers everywhere during the second. This will be really dangerous as they will eliminate Kafka on sight if they see he is a kaiju, but Kafka declares that he's taking the exam no matter what. He has been working real hard these past 3 months and this is his last chance since he is 32 years old. Ichikawa is just as determined, so he says that no matter what happens to Kafka, he's not going to drop out either. They agree that if they're going to do it, then they're going to do it as rivals. Kafka casually goes to drink something, but he has a hard time opening his water bottle. He ends up transforming and destroying it with his immense strength, so Ichikawa takes back everything he said. The two finished arguing and Ichikawa tells them that the other cleaners will arrive soon. Kafka actually relieved that he passed the first round, and he declares that it's time for his revenge match against the second round of exams. 10 days later, the guys arrive at the Defense Force's Tachikawa base for the exam. Ichikawa has been to a different base on a field trip before, but this one is much bigger. This one shares the area with the Self-Defense Force garrison, so troops are everywhere. Ichikawa points out how it makes things much more dangerous. If Kafka transforms there, then he would be eliminated within seconds. Other examinees begin arriving, so Kafka declares that it's time to go. He wants to get checked in even though they're pretty early, but some girl gets his attention by calling him an old man. Kafka points out that he is not old since he's still just 32, but she points out that that is old. She tells him to move his truck, but he states that there are tons of other parking spots. She insists though, since her lucky number for the day is 5, Kafka has had enough of the annoying girl, so he declares that he will teach her some manners. Kafka is shocked when she removes her dress to reveal her suit underneath, and she declares that she will just move his vehicle herself. The guys are shocked by her suit, which seems to give her immense power, and she lifts the truck with one hand. They are horrified and she just tosses it aside, and Kafka points out that that is a company vehicle. Ichikawa wonders just who the heck she is, so she reveals that she is examining number 216. Her name is Kokoro Shinomiya and her hobby is eliminating kaiju. She tells them to remember her name, and Ichikawa is shocked when he recognizes her last name. Kokoro then turns her attention back to Kafka. She gives him a sniff and points out that he smells just like a kaiju. That brings the episode to an end. Thanks for watching. Want next part? Subscribe the channel and turn on notification bell.